So welcome back everybody to the Midlands Outdoors Day, back with another interesting episode at a new location which I've never ever been before on foot. I've always drove past it with my dad every time I've possibly been that way before in the car, but I've always wanted to come up here just to come and take a stroll because there's interesting things, and this where you've got the reservoirs, you've got Bartley Reservoir, and I think you've got Frankley Reservoir which is right at the back, and there is a church up to here. I'm going to see if you can get in the church today. If not, I should just show the outside of it. But it is just a nice little walk to come and take a look at all this. But let's have a walk down and see if we can get some views of the big massive Bartley Reservoir which is just by the side of me. So yeah, as you can see though, today it's a bit of one of those days today. I was planning to do this another day, but looking at the sky though, it looks like it might get a few breaks. I know it has got to go a bit sunny this afternoon, what I've heard, so keep fingers crossed. It might get a bit of a better afternoon and maybe some drone footage a bit later if I can just show you some nice views from the top of both the reservoirs. We'll see if we can get to that later, but you can just see by the side, you can just see the gaps of the trees where the Bartley Reservoir is, just under the corners. And I've got to try and get through all this mud. I've battled my way across just to come down to here through a load of thick mud, because you can just see, lucky enough, I've escaped some of it, but I wasn't going to expect it to be this muddy today. I should have brought some wellies actually, because I think it's going to get really worse so as I get further down. You can just see this, look. You can't expect it though, because we've had quite a lot of rain over the last few days, all them storms what we've had over the last few weeks as well. It's been absolutely dreadful. And most places that I've been to, it's all been like this on fields and stuff. Let's make our way down. Nearly made it. I'm just hoping you can get some nice views just to show you, because I've got a bit of history as well on this Bartley Reservoir, just to show you it. Oh, caught myself on the nettles and stingers. We can actually, yeah, this is actually kind of good. So yeah, as you can see, the wind is pretty much picking up, and the simple reason being is because we're by a reservoir, and mostly all the time reservoirs are more windy. And I know I've been to Arrow Valley Lakes near Redditch, and that has pretty much been windy every time I've been there as well. It's because the you can see where the water's coming from, it's coming this way, so you've obviously got the normal wind on top of that, and it causes a big breeze to come forward on the water, because it's all flat surface, bringing it all this way. I don't know how bad it's going to sound on the video until I pull it up, but look at the views of the Bartley Reservoir and how big it actually stretches out. I believe this is actually part of Birmingham, and you have got, it does split off by the motorway I believe as well at the back, and you've got the bottom of Romsley and the back fields at the back down to there. And I have seen some of this when I've done my drone footage over the back where the train line is, with the viaduct, what I've done before. But looking down, I think this path does rejoin, it goes even further. We've got to walk this path and try and get to the bottom of Frankley, down to the bottom. But let's tell you a bit of history about this in a minute, and I'll tell you more about this reservoir itself. Nice views to show, so if I just pan around, Sorry about the window, but I have got a wind deflector on, so it should cut bits of it out. Look at that. Nice view. Whoa, it is absolutely freezing as well. So yeah, nice to start off a bit of a Birmingham series as well, covering bits of parts of Birmingham. You know, there's loads of parks over there. Keep going. I have seen parks on Google Maps which look pretty interesting. May cover them in the future. I'm going to plan to extend even further. This is why I'm doing quite a lot of new places actually, because the history is just wow. Some of these places you wouldn't believe how far they date back, and especially Bartley Reservoir, it has got some old dates to it. But actually coming down though, it doesn't actually look too bad. Got some open fields, lovely to walk. I've never actually done this, whether many people have walked this before. I mean, wow. I can see parts of the back fields as well. I believe what I'm looking at right in the distance, I don't know what is actually over that way actually, which I can see in the distance is like loads of fields. Whether that's the back end of Romsley, I don't know whether it's actually that way. To be fair, it could be that way. So there where I'm coming from, Houseowings there, so a possible chance it could be there. And what I'm looking at is the far back bits, maybe the far backs of Waisley Hills and over that way as well. So no, I'm sure I've seen that tree line at the back from bottom of Romsley and where you cut by Huntington. It's quite interesting actually seeing this. Let's have a walk down. I will taste some history now based on this area and Bartley Reservoir. So yeah, there is quite a bit of information for the Bartley Reservoir, which is just right behind me right now. And if I just get the information up, it does actually mention quite a bit of history as well onto this one. So it says Bartley Reservoir is for drinking water in Birmingham, England, operated by Severn Trent Water. The reservoir is about 1.5 kilometres, 0.65 miles long, over 450 metres, 1,480 foot wide, and about 18 metres, 60 foot deep at the dam. Its surface area is 0.45 square kilometres, 0.17 square miles. It is known as the place where Bill Oddie did much of his early bird watching. Oh wow, I never knew that. This is quite interesting, learning some of this new stuff. And features in his books, notably Bill Oddie's Gone Birding. I loved Bill Oddie in Spring Watch. I don't know if many of you remember it when he was on there. I tell you what, I loved watching everyone that came on the telly. He was a really good person for his birds. He knows his onions basically about anything about birds. I mean, I have seen some other things what he's done as well. Fantastic man. And I didn't even realise he's been here, because I do know this place as well. You can spot quite a lot of interesting wildlife over here, depending on the day you're actually down. Because imagine you can get a bit of fair water birds due to the big size of the pool as well. Try to spot some. But because it does go into the part of fields as well over the back, so you can get much wildlife over the backs as well, because there's big tree lines. Let's have another look down for you, because there is a little bit more. His first published article for the West Midlands Bird Club annual report was about the birds of the reservoir. The reservoir is also home to the Bartley Sailing Club, which had just come from at the start. It's just by the entrance. So moving on to the history now, based on this reservoir, it says most of the land occupied by Bartley Reservoir was in the parish of Northfield, originally in Worcestershire. It was transferred to Warwickshire when Northfield became part of the Birmingham in November 1911, and thus became part of the West Midlands County on the latter creation in 1974. Quite interesting once more. However, the southwest end of the reservoir overlapped into the parish of Frankley in Worcestershire, Hereford and Worcester from 1974. In April 1995, part of Frankley, including the southwest part of Bartley Reservoir, was transferred to Birmingham and thus joined the rest of the reservoir in the West Midlands County. Shortly after the completion of the Elam Valley reservoirs in the early 1920s, it became apparent that more storage capacity would be required to maintain the daily supplies needed by Birmingham. The reservoir is close to the terminus of the Elam Aqueduct and adjacent to the Frankley Reservoir. The contractor for the construction of the reservoir was led by Birmingham Corporation Water Department in February 1925 to Ednam, Nuttall, Sons and Co Limited of Manchester, and the Frankley Cementation Company undertook all cementation. It was completed in 1930. The reservoir featured in the television programme in 1985 when Bill Oddie was interviewed there by Julian Pettifer for a 50-minute Nature Watch special, Bill Oddie Bird Watcher. So you can just imagine what went on here, especially on that TV programme with Bill Oddie coming in to have a look at the birds. It is quite interesting to see the dates of when this actually dates back for the reservoir and when it was built. And it is quite interesting just reading over that, so I hope you've enjoyed that little part. But what we're going to be doing now is making our way even further down here now. Just walking further down, seeing where it ends up to. I'm hoping that we can get to the other reservoir, which is Frankley Reservoir, which is further over the back. Much history over there, we've got a church to cover and much more, so let's go and make a move on. I think we've actually got Bluebell Woods as well, which is quite interesting. I've never been round there. So let's keep going and let's see what the journeys have for us today. Please don't be what I think it is. Just going around the corner, I think this is really chocker of mud. And I think I've got to cross all this as well. Oh no. Look at all this. Right, see if I can make an easy way around it. Now, just looking for like the odd parts where people have walked, so it's treaded down a little bit. That's a bit more better. Now we am coming down into another field, I think. It just leads from path to path until you get to the end of this reservoir. I think we're about halfway through the reservoir now, nearly. It's just amazing how far this even goes, this res. Right, make our way through. It is absolutely freezing. I am cold. And coming from Halesowen, the temperature was it was normal. It was just like mildish, but coming up here, I tell you what, it just feels like it's really that cold for snow. It's just, I know, I just really want to get this, get to the church really and get off this water, because when you're near waters, the temperature does dip really a lot because of how cold the water is, with the wind blowing from it coming towards me. But that's why it's pretty much really windy as well, just by this reservoir. There is quite a lot of trees and woodland, to be honest, down here. So imagine in the summer how much bird life you can get by this waterway. Let's keep going and see where we end up. So yeah, I believe coming down now, we've actually come to like a big public picnic area, which many other people may know what this is as well. You can park your cars, you can have something nice to eat on the benches just overlooking the reservoir itself. Just right in the distance, I think I can see the church or some sort of building actually, just right in the distance at the back. So I do know we have to walk around. I think what we're coming up to as well is actually known as Bluebell Woodland, which is right in front of me. I'm just thinking what the best way to go to this is, whether we get on the road and then just keep walking down onto Bluebell Woodlands. So yeah, I have tried looking up some information online based on Bluebell Wood, but it just comes up basically with looking down different things like our top UK Bluebell Wood. I don't know who it's owned by because I've never been down to look at it, but we'll just have a walk down and we'll just see what it's about. Maybe there might be a sign there telling us what the woodland is and who it's owned by. It is quite interesting. Let's go and take a look. So yeah, it's actually brought us out onto a big road now, which is going around the side of the reservoir. You can drive down this one. This is the one where you can drive and park up and look at the little picnic area, which is just onto the side. So just looking around, I'll see if there's any entrances into the woodland itself. Seeing what that one is there. I think that goes into the woodland, so I think we should go over there and I think let's go and take a look and just see where it brings us out by. So yeah, here we am into Bluebell Woodland now, just around the side of it. It does actually pretty much remind me of Uffmore Woodland when you're going in, similar trees. I do know at a certain time of year into here you can get loads and loads of bluebells which actually do come up and flower, and apparently it's really beautiful to look at. I believe it possibly could be in a couple of months time when they start to come up out the ground. You mainly get like bluebells in depths of the woodland where you're walking further over the back, but I'm seeing where this actually brings us out by. I think it might go right into the big depths of the woodland itself. There's quite a load of side paths off to it. Yeah, I think it is actually. The path going that way, but the path seems to come to some sort of like end on the corner. I think, yeah, there's a path there going all the way down, look. But I don't know if I'll be able to get to that from here. No. Actually, yeah, I can, but I'll have to climb down and get around and get onto that big path. But for the bluebells itself though, looking, they are actually starting to come up, and it's the green leaves that I'm onto them. Whether I'll be able to see if I can get some for you to show you. Whether you can see them there, what I'm pointing to, there is loads and loads of them actually coming up. Now give it a couple of months time, they'll actually be in flower, and if you bring a camera up and look at them, it is absolutely stunning. Like Uffmore Woodland, it's just beautiful just to see them. There is quite a lot of wildlife into it as well. I've just seen blue tits, there's a load of hedge sparrows that I've seen go on the edge as well. Just looking round, you can see all the bird life. Look at all the bird noises. Quite a lot of small birds. I'll make my way down. Yeah, made it across. There's actually a little stream running through here, down to the bottom, running all the way down there. Maybe it might just be like a bit of the moisture from the ground from all the rain we've had, looking down. There's actually like a little small piece of wood you can walk across to avoid it, which is good. Right, let's go up to here. Now, like I said, I don't know too much about this woodland myself. Maybe whether you know anything about it, you've got some information about this woodland, feel free to drop it in the comments. I am pretty much really interested. It's Bluebell Woodland by the Reservoirs. Feel free to comment about it and tell me a bit about it. I would be interested just to read it. But got the wildlife, what's into here? I think this is actually taking us like into the middle part, so we might be able to get back onto the reservoir in a bit, walking through the woodland. Got a nice cinematics of the moss growing on the trees. Look, wow! You can just see better views of the bluebells. Look at all these growing up. Here's loads of them, absolutely loads of bluebells starting to grow. Look at all these, tons. Might come back up here in a couple of months actually, take some nice photographs. Might be worth a try. So no, like Uffmore, it's just really beautiful just to see them. But yeah, let's make our way further down, see where this path actually brings us out by. Well, I'm just hoping that I don't have to come back on myself. Look at the path to come out. It's literally turned into like a little pool going all the way down. Look, we've had that much rain, it's just saturated the ground so bad. I mean, people have even tried to cross from one point to the other, look. That's crazy. See what the other paths are actually like. I might take, I believe, this path, I think, because I'm looking at the other one and it looks like it's like a bad way to come out, because it's like, it's really dredged down there as well, down the bottom. It's bad. Right. Oh yeah, you got look at the tree, look, we've even got like more little things as well. We've got different funguses growing, look, on the side of the bark on the trees. You just see that different kinds of things every time you come to a woodland, whether it's just wildlife or not, or it's just plant life. You see some interesting things, but it is a different environment to the other woodlands that I've been to. It's more coming down, you can just see it's more bramble. Quite a lot of bramble onto this woodland into the depths, look. And there is bluebells as well, because the bluebells are cut between that lot as well. Right, I think we'll try and get on back onto the main road and get down Scotland Road, and then we'll try and get to the church from there. See if there's and get out down here somewhere. Yeah, it's quite muddy here as well. Let's see. Path here, might take this and see where, if it will lead us back to the road. I think this will actually, to be fair. Going in the path why someone has actually treaded it out with. Yeah, this bit here as well. Look how bogged the side path to come out was. Nah, I don't think I could be able to jump that with my weight on my back as well, the stuff into it. I will be able to jump if I was light, get across that other side, but I ain't doing that. Might see where this actually comes to down here, like a little bit of a side path leading somewhere as well. I'm just hoping that I don't have to come all the way back on myself from where I come from. Oh, the mud. Yeah, to be fair, I don't care about the mud now. I think I'm just going to get out of here. I think I've had enough of that woodland. It's just absolutely bogged mad. Right, let's see how deep it is. Let's go. Right, back onto the main road. So what we'll do now, we'll just keep on walking this woodland now from the side of it, and then keep going down this main road and just see if it'll actually bring us by the road that I want to go down, which is... So yeah, we've made it to the other side of where the reservoir is, onto the far back section now. You can just see a bit of a better view. All the wind what's coming down. Whew. But if you just look down, the far back is actually where we started, right in the distance, just all the way over there. So yeah, Severn Trent, it's actually owned by the Severn Trent waters. But well, it's just nice just to see it, but I'm gonna carry on walking down because we haven't got too far to go towards the end of the road now. Just literally just down the bottom, and I think we turn left. Yeah, sorry I had to cut the video, everyone. It is quite a busy road, this one, walking down. So I'm trying to be a bit careful because it is like the Ely Lane, the one that I went to where the train line was. You have to walk down the road like this, so you have to be very careful. So I'll catch up with you when I get to the church, because it is quite lethal to keep filming and watching the road at the same time. I have to laugh to myself, but Google Maps has took me the wrong way. It was taking me, he said it was taking me the right way until I realised that I've walked far up the road to where I've got to get to. The place where I wanted to go to was back down that road. So you have to be careful with Google Maps sometimes, because places sometimes where you don't want to go to, and you gotta go all the way back to get to it. But looking over there though, I can see the Frankley Reservoir and some of the little buildings that I'm situated right by over there. I don't know whether you can get to it from down where the church is, so I think we'll just go back down that road and just take a risk and to see if we can get to it that way. Because I thought, when I looked down though, I thought, because he said there's a church on the corner and there's nothing there, so it's definitely down that way then, down, right the way down the bottom. Yeah, this is it. This is certainly a nice church, the by Frankley Beeches. As you can see, look at the building. It isn't really a big church when you look at it. It does look like it's smaller in comparison to the other churches. It's about smaller than the size of St Kenelm's a little bit. You can see the little bell tower, mini bell tower, and now St Kenelm's has that one really big onto that one. It has got the same architecture at the top as St Kenelm's, like a little point at the top of the church. There's a point there with a cross onto the side of that bit. But looking in now, I did see from the road the stained glass windows in there look absolutely amazing. Let's go and have a quick walk around, see if we can actually, well, because there is no lights on into there, so I don't know whether you can go in and have a look inside the church. But I will have a look at the history behind this though and see what's about it, and to see if there's anything not old to tell you about the church itself. The brickwork looks really old. I'd say about late, I don't know, it could be a 17th or 18th century church, telling by the brickwork, but we'll have a look. Some do date really old. You can see it's like sandstone carved bricks which you can see into there, placed in one by one. But look at the stained glass windows. I mean, they have put like protections onto it, so you can just see there. But looking for the inside though, those would look absolutely amazing from in there. So look, see if the front bit's open. There's a possible chance it might not be. No, not today. It is quite a shame because you have to be here at the right time, at the right day. Because you can see, look, it's shut. I don't know if it opens in the afternoon itself, or it probably might just be a weekend church where it opens on weekends only. There is many other churches that only open on weekends, but look at the front porch and the architecture that's up there. Look, wow. The architecture though is similar to the St Leonards church, which you get at the bottom of Clentils when you go through the little porch on the way in. It's actually quite similar. And as well, most churches, they have these like little cellars. Let's have a look down here. Oh, smell of damp into there. I'm gonna get a bit of light on. It's locked as well, because some of these have tunnels and little catacombs into them. Nah, no way. That goes really far back. I can't barely see with my torch into the way it goes back. It literally goes right the way in and bends round. That is crazy. I don't even have to see into there, but this is the side of the wall. So what is round the other bottom bit of this church, I don't quite know. Some have little tunnels and catacombs into them, but that's quite amazing to see that. Look how old the wood is around it, look. And the brickwork as well, you can just see, if I show you, it is sandstone, look. It chips away slowly. Right, let's go back up. So yeah, by looking though, you can just see. Maybe I'll take a quick look. But there would have been an air vent there, but it looks like it's been filled in at the bottom. Right, let's tell you a bit of history about this church and just see what's behind it. So there is much history behind this church, which is situated right by the side of me. It is like similar, and the dates go way back, like St Kenelm's does, what I visited in the past. So if I just take a look at the information online, it says much of the present parish of Frankley is rural and lies beyond the Birmingham city boundary. The base of a Saxon cross in the churchyard is evidence of Christianity, here perhaps as early as 700 AD. So just looking even further down, there is much more information. There is a picture here now, Frankley Church, drawn by D. Barnes in a Gentleman's magazine in 1813. So the parish of Frankley lies 3 miles southeast of Halesowen and was a subsidiary chapelry of St John the Baptist, Halesowen Parish Church, probably from the Saxon times. There only ever was and still is a tiny hamlet clustered around the church. So with its mother church, it came under the jurisdiction of Halesowen Abbey, probably sometime during the 11th century. Although churches with extensive parishes were happy to set up chapelries, which had a certain degree of independence, one of the privileges most jealously guarded by the mother church was the right of the sepulture, the right to bury the dead of the parish. So just looking down, until 1844 was Halesowen was a detached part of Shropshire, lying geographically within Worcestershire. Frankley, however, was in Worcestershire in the late 13th century. A dispute arose between the Abbot of Halesowen and the Prior of Dudley as to the jurisdiction of Frankley Chapel. The Halesowen status was mirrored by that of Dudley, which was a detached part of Worcestershire, surrounded by Staffordshire. This was further complicated by the fact that Dudley Priory and the adjacent castle were declared by the Pope in 1238 to be part of Staffordshire. Confirmation was made by Emma de Frankley in 1275 that the chapel was subject to Halesowen, but it was not until 1297 that Dudley gave up the case and admitted the legitimacy of Halesowen's claim. The case had run over 20 years. So there is a Saxon cross onto here, which I will show you. Oh, it's actually right by the side of me, actually. Just looking right the way down there, where I'm pointing to, just onto that corner right there, look, the Saxon cross. So reading it, it does actually say the base of this cross on the south side of the church dates from the Saxon period, and it's probably older than the church itself. Wow. Os in the churchyard at Frankley marks the establishment of a Christian site here, as at Halesowen, the kingdom of Hawaii, which included Worcestershire, had converted to Christianity by the year 700 AD. The present stone building probably dates from the 12th century, although little medieval evidence remains discernible. The church is built in grey and red sandstone. So like I mentioned earlier, now most of the churches were actually built by sandstone, like St Kenelm, St Leonards, all very old sandstone dating back from those days. So just imagine what they're built with, just onto there. Spare me 1 second, I will get information back up. Finding where I got to now. The latter locally available at Holly Hill Quarry, now the site of New Frankley. Although some of the church was restored at the end of the 19th century, substantial parts of the fabric, the west window, the southeastern window of the nave, and both the chancel roof with its moulded arch braced tie beams and the bower roof of the nave date from the 15th century. At the west end part, dressed coarse sandstone rubble, wall is presumably old. So it says there, the 15th century building was certainly at the instigation of one of the Littleton family, lords of the manor, who lived at Frankley Hall, almost opposite to the church. A moated site probably dating to the 13th century is likely to have been Sir Thomas Littleton, 1422 to 1481, who achieved considerable national fame as a judge. In 1471, Sir Thomas, spare 1 second because the sun's beaming down on my phone, summoned the Abbot of Halesowen to explain why he had not supplied a priest during all the time Sir Thomas was at Frankley. The Abbot of Halesowen being obliged to find a priest 3 days a week to perform divine service in St Leonard's Chapel. So I mean, it does date back even further. There is so much information onto here. The graveyard dates from the early 18th century, so imagine some of these onto here as well. Some of the little graves date from the 1800s. I believe that one could date to the 1800s as well, by looking at it, because the sandstone gravestone as well is fading away very slowly. It's actually decaying, where much of the writing is disappearing. Like ones behind me right now, these 1800s as well, just by the side of me, and all the writing is actually all faded away onto these ones. Really interested just to see the way it dates back, and with the Saxon cross I will give you a better look just in a minute when I get down to there, which I'll be heading further down the bottom to a path to Frankley Reservoir. So it's having a bit of a better look now. So the east window of the chancel was restored in 1873, which is at the back, just down the bottom. Was again restored 1873. The three light east window of the chancel was replaced, although using the 15th century jambs. The stop to external label being carved with butterflies. The 5 windows inside walls were all remade as the chancel arch. The nave is lit by 3 light windows with square heads in the north wall, and 2 similar windows and 1 single light in the south wall. All were remade in the late 19th century, except for the jambs of the southeastern window, which date from the 15th century. The 18th century ceilings were removed, exposing the woodwork of the roof. I will, however, come back up here and do a separate video. I have plans to come back and take a look inside this church. It's not open until an evening, but I have actually phoned up to try and book a day to come and visit it inside. So expect a video maybe, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, of me actually exploring inside here, telling you a bit more information about this church itself. But let's go around now. Let's go and take a look around the church and give you a bit of cinematics behind all the old architecture of the building itself. Yeah, absolutely beautiful just to see the church itself and reading over the history to how far it actually dates back. But where we're going to be going now is actually journeying our way further down. There's a footpath here. I think it possibly could bring us out to the bottom where the Frankley Reservoir is itself, where I actually want to get to. So we'll just see where the path actually brings us out. It is quite interesting. So I've got a bit of information to tell you about Frankley Reservoir itself. So let's make our way down to here. Oh, the breeze, you just feel how cold it is today. Oh, right. So it brings us out down to the bottom down. Oh, I nearly tripped up then. You've got to be careful when you walk in places like this. The mud. Right, so we might get a better view. So hopefully I think I might have to get down over this way. Or I can walk down there. There is a road on the side that goes down as well, which I'm thinking this could actually go down closer by it. Let's see where it brings us out to. So yeah, Frankley Reservoir, just looking at a bit of information now, is a semicircular reservoir for drinking water in Birmingham, England, operated by Severn Trent Water. Its construction was authorised by the Birmingham Corporation Water Act of 1892. It was built by Birmingham Corporation Water Department to designs by Abraham Kelly of Ealing in 1904. So looking down, it is drinking water, I am right. It contains 900,000 cubic metres. I think that is a 200 million imp gal of water received from the Elan Valley reservoirs, 117 kilometres 73 miles away in Wales, which arrives via the Elan aqueduct by the power of gravity alone, dropping 52 metres 171 foot, an average gradient of 1 in 2,300. Before 18 before 1987 it was leaking 540 litres, 120 in per gal per second. In that year, ground penetrating radar was used to successfully isolate the leaks. Quite interesting actually. And that is actually about it about that reservoir, but you can just see it is drinking water, and it was authorised in 1892 and designed in 1904, so you can see the dates, it goes way back. But oh, look up there is actually a kestrel being attacked. Don't usually see that daily. You can hear it. So I say there is quite a lot of wildlife over the reservoirs over Frankley beaches. It is lovely just to see them and hear them. As the day is getting better, I can see the sunshine beaming down now soon. Let's get some drone footage. I'm really busting to see what the views look like of the two itself in mid-air and the church. So let's get a buff for you.